All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about a story that involves discriminatory hiring practices from those coming from the left. Again, the race crusaders, okay, the people who claim to be against discrimination. It seems to me that they're the ones that are always pushing for discrimination, okay, especially against people who they don't agree with politically or so-called cis white males, because that's the popular thing to do, which is to discriminate against straight white males, right? That is how you woke virtue signal, okay? Especially if you are a white liberal, okay? That's the easiest way to gain brownie points with the brown folks, right? So that being said, this is exactly what is going on with this woke coffee shop out in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, that has told so-called white cis males to, quote, get to the back of the line, okay? Your kind ain't welcome here, right? When it comes to being able to work for them, okay? They're saying that white men will basically be considered last, okay? That they're going to prioritize everybody else over so-called white cis males. So before I get into this, I just want to let you guys know that if you like my channel, you want to support my channel, you can do so using the links in the description below. You can support the Patreon, you can support the PayPal, you can support the merch. There are multiple ways to support the channel if you would like to do so. And I appreciate each and every last one of you that have supported my channel, whether that be through Patreon, through donations, or getting the merch. So if you guys want to check it out, you can check out my racist mugs, aka my meme mugs. That's what I'm gonna start calling my meme mugs. Or you can check out the merch. And I'm currently coming up with some new stuff that I'm excited to share with you guys. So be on the lookout for that and check it out if you want to support. And again, I love each and every last one of you, including those who just watch, right? I love you guys too. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play this video of this shop owner explaining why they are discriminating against so-called white cis males when it comes to hiring practices.
At Bows and Arrows, they're out to make the perfect coffee. Their ideal brew starts with the beans, but really begins with their process.
In a highly exploitative industry like coffee, where where producers aren't covering the cost of production, it's highly problematic, it's highly fraught.
Bows and Arrows has made a business of doing it right, but some think a recent Instagram post of theirs got it all wrong. It advertised their hiring, quote, at this time, white cis males, meaning males whose gender identity corresponds to their sex assigned at birth, are back of the line. The post hit Reddit with the headline, Bo's Coffee Not Hiring White Cis Males. Then it went viral, the loudest voices online calling it reverse racism. One of the shop's owners disagrees.
We're seeing a lot of, white male hurt feelings, straight up nationalism, disguised as calls for equality.
Drew Johnson says they wanted to temporarily deprioritize the hiring of white cis males because they make up more than 50% of their 10-person staff at the moment.
A room stacked with white males has issues that are foreseeable, and therefore we want to anticipate that and prepare for, how we want the workplace to look.
Where he was willing to make an apology was with how this hiring practice may unintentionally exclude members of the LGBTQ2+ and BIPOC community unless they outed themselves or aren't white passing.
That's understandable, and that's what I apologize for online. And that was careless and reckless.
Meanwhile, as they chase the perfect Java, Drew is doubling down on what he calls affirmative hiring practices.
We'll never just close the door on people. That's why I said back of the line. Like, it was flippant, it was problematic, but there's still a line.
One where white cis males are at the back of.
I think this guy should ask the Biden administration how affirmative action is working out for them when it comes to their hiring practices, specifically when it comes to their press secretary who has no clue what she's doing, right? She's very much in over her head, okay? But there are people that are criticizing this guy and saying that this is reverse racism. And I'm just like, no, this is not reverse racism. This is just racism, right? This guy is being racist towards cis white males, or so-called cis white males, aka straight white males, okay? And he only apologizes for those whom are accidentally being discriminated against if they pass as a white male who happens to also be gay, right? Or part of the LGBTQ plus alphabet community. Okay. Again, these people really, really, really never cease to amaze me with their bigotry, right? With woke bigotry. Okay. I'm trying to tell you, it's not white supremacy that is the biggest threat to the Western world. It is woke supremacy, right? To be quite honest with you. And this is an example of that, because we all know that if this guy came out and said, hey, I am not hiring black people, right? I want to discriminate against black folks, he would be flamed for it, right? People would say this is absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable. But because he says this, a lot of people, right, particularly those on the left, are going to, praise it and say, no, this is progress, right? This guy's so brave, stunning, okay? Again, this is ridiculous, okay? So this was the ad that this guy posted on Instagram, and I will say this. I am happy to see that there are a lot of people in the comment section that are rightfully flaming this guy for this obviously racist hiring practice, right? So let's read here. As Brown History Week says, thanks for posting this so I know to literally never come here. Hemochronatosis says, you missed the mark with your harsh overcorrection. This is bigotry. That moment you call yourself anti-racist and then turn around and discriminate. Gee, how progressive. Congratulations on the irreversible damage to your business. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that if all straight white males boycotted this coffee shop, they would probably go out of business, right? They would definitely go out of business. Why'd you have to drag Greg into this? Right, I'm assuming this guy is Greg. I don't know who this guy is. So just to be clear, not the guy in the background photo. The good discrimination. I love how they're using a cis white man in their advertisement, but if that very man were to apply for the position, he would be rejected. Just LOL. Why don't you just hire the most qualified person? I thought we stopped putting people at the back of the bus. Ding, 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 ding. Right? Why don't you just hire the most qualified people and just leave it at that? Right? If it just happens that the room is filled with straight white males, then, I mean, hey, it is what it is. But that could also happen in the sense where, you hire the most qualified people and it might be a room full of black women or black folks. And if that's the case, then so be it, right? If they're the most qualified, they're the most qualified. Who cares about the racial dynamic? Okay. But this guy, again, because he wants to virtue signal, he thinks this is good business when it's not. When you're so privileged, you can't even get an interview for a job. I'm telling y'all, I promise this is what's going to happen. White people of the future are going to have a great case for a civil rights movement, right? They're going to say, we've been historically and systemically discriminated against, right? There's been systemic racism against us. And they're going to point to stuff like this, right? And say, this happened, okay? This was Jim Eagle, right? Which is what Joe Biden was calling the so-called voter suppression bills, aka the election integrity bills from the GOP. He said that as a way to try to say it's worse than Jim Crow. But no. This is Jim Eagle right here, right? This is Jim Eagle, okay? And white folks of the future, again, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road, are going to say, we need a Civil Rights Act for us, right? Because this overt discrimination that happened to us during the early 2000s, in the 2020s, that set us back, right? That's the reason why we're not ahead anymore. And the irony here is that if the demographic changes happen, the same demographic changes that Democrats are predicting will happen, white people can say, well, we're a minority too, right? We're minorities and we were historically discriminated against, right? That is exactly what is going to happen. So stunning and brave of you to hire based off race, gender, and sexuality. Now, this is real progress. Discrimination is never okay. Yeah, so basically, I'm glad to see that almost every single comment on this post is flaming this coffee shop for discrimination, right? And that gives me some hope for this country, right? That gives me hope that there are people out there that are against the racism and the discriminatory practices that the left is currently pushing. Because I told you guys, if it was up to them, they would have us go back to Jim Crow, right? They would have us go back to a segregated society where coloreds and whites drink at different water fountains, right? They play in different parks. They go to different schools. That is what they want, right? That is the regressivism of the progressive left. Okay, and this is a prime example of such. This guy thinks he's doing right by so-called colored folks, right, and marginalized individuals like people in the LGBTQ community. But only thing he's really doing is stirring up more racial animosity and hate, right? That's what he's doing. You can't fight bigotry with more bigotry. But the reality is that the bigotry that he claims he's trying to fight is not nearly as prevalent as the bigotry that this guy is putting on display by refusing to hire people based off their sexuality and their race and just openly saying it. So with that being said, I don't feel like this guy will probably be in business for that much longer. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.